Okay, so hello booktubing world. It is I, Capri Nicole, and I'm back with another video. So if you see my eyes are very red, I am not high. I simply just got my lashes done, so they're usually red after I get them done for like 2-3 days. Beauty is pain, okay? Keep up. Today we're gonna be doing a big ass black book haul. I think I've only done one of these before years ago, and I think I'm gonna start doing this at the end of every year. We have Kindle books, we have audiobooks, and we have physical books. So I'm going to kick it off with the audiobooks, then I'm gonna talk about some of my Kindle books, and then I will talk about these. So in total we have about 50 books. I'll give a little brief synopsis. You know, I don't really like diving too deep into the synopsis because they be giving too much away, just like these movie trailers. I'll dip a toe into the synopsis. I'll, you know, give y'all an idea. Some of these books I've already read, so I'll be able to give a better synopsis for those, but let's get into it. We're gonna kick it off with the full audiobooks that I have. So the first one I have is Dirty Kisses by Kenya Wright. So this this audiobook was highly recommended via TikTok, but I don't know, sometimes I can trust TikTok, sometimes I simply cannot. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a little bit nervous with this one. I'm a little bit nervous, but I've never read a mafia romance before, and this year was my first year of reading a dark romance book, and I really enjoyed it. So this one follows a guy who is in the mafia, and his best friend was murdered, and he's trying to figure out who did it, and he ends up running into this girl whose brother is like the main suspect, and I think they kind of like fall into a little entanglement. So I'm interested to see how it goes. I heard it has really cute moments, so I'm excited to see how that goes. If y'all read it, let me know how y'all feel about that. Okay, the next one that I have is The Blood Trials, which I tried to read earlier this year, but I just couldn't click with it. And y'all, if y'all are OG subscribers, y'all know how I am with like extreme racism in books, but everybody speaks so highly of this book, and I'm a fantasy girl, so I'm trying to get in with the fantasy girls. From my understanding, it's like a mix of sci-fi and fantasy, and it's like a lot of like action scenes and fighting. And from what I understand, the main character, her grandfather is who raised her, and he ends up being killed, and she's trying to figure out who did it. She's suspecting that someone killed him from like, I guess like the opposing team, because there's like these two groups of people that are always in competition with like their magical abilities and stuff like that, and she's thinking that someone, you know, put a hit out on him, so she's trying to figure out what that's about. And I think there's also a competition in this, but like I said, I'm gonna give it a try again. If it don't work, it don't work. The next book that I have is actually a memoir, and it's Janelle Monáe's memoir. I was actually gonna read this for a video a while ago, but I just really the train. This book is like a memoir of Janelle Monáe, and I'm pretty sure it's like a mix of like, it's like Afrofuturistic, but it's like also telling her life and her experience and her queerness and her blackness and stuff like that. I'm excited to see like the setup of this book. From what I heard about it, it's a memoir, but she makes it into like a fantasy sci-fi book, so I think that's really interesting. I'm ready to see how she narrates it. I wonder if she's gonna actually be the narrator for her own book, but yeah, I'm definitely excited to pick this one up. And the last audiobook that I have on here is The Last Dreamwalker, and I heard about this book from a few people, but I think most recently I heard it from Jesse's channel, and they were saying that this one follows like a girl who gets to know more about her family's history and her family's magical abilities, and she ends up living with like her aunts and gets to know like the deep dives of like what their magical abilities are as a dream walker, so she can go into someone's dreams and manipulate and control them as well. So I'm interested to see that, because I really love books that have magical abilities that involve dreams. This one has a little bit more magic in it, and I just want to see a black girl, you know, dream walking, so I think it's going to be cool. Jesse spoke really highly of it, so I'm excited to see if I'll like it as well. Now for the next section, we have, I think I have 6 Kindle books. So this is Blossom. Everyone say hello to Blossom. This is my Kindle. I got a pop socket on my Kindle, because if you don't got a pop socket on your Kindle, I don't know what you're doing, child. I really don't know. Okay, so the first book that I have is Lily by Tia Ray. This book follows the main character. I think she's very quiet, she's very meek, she's very to herself, and she ends up meeting with this assassin, and I guess their worlds collide. It's like a romance, you know what I'm saying? I love love like romances that have polar opposites, like someone that's badass and just takes the world by force and is just someone not to play with, and then someone who's like quiet into themselves, or someone that's like uptight and mean, and then someone that's like funny and like brings more life to someone's life. I really like opposites in romance, and this is like a fantasy romance. It has pretty good reviews. I heard good things about it on Black TikTok, so I'm trying to see what it's about. But it's long, child. This is like 700 pages, but we gonna see how she is. So the next book that I have is Treble by Riley. I don't know how to say this author's name. Risley? Okay, let's go with Risley. This author is very highly recommended by Black TikTok, and I get really good recommendations from them, so I'm excited to see what it's about. And this is gonna be my first book by her. I believe it's following this couple that's always been in a polygamous relationship, and they end up meeting somebody that they both are attracted to. So it goes from there. So I'm excited to see, you know, what unfolds from that. You know, I love a good poly relationship. We need more of that. I'm really excited to read this book. I tried to start it, but I was like, I knew I wasn't gonna finish it before the end of the year, so I'm like, let me just like wait. So the next book that I have is Restore Me by J.L. Seegers, and this is another author that is highly recommended. I see it all over Bookstagram, and all the girls are loving it, and I think I'm really gonna enjoy this. I guess some people have compared her to Kennedy Ryan, so I guess her books bring a lot of emotion. Following the main character whose husband passed away like a while ago, and she ends up falling for his best friend, but they have always had like an enemy like relationship, like they do not like each other. He always was just like not feeling her. Then dive too deep into the synopsis, you know, I want to go into it with fresh eyes. From my understanding of the synopsis, she falls for his best friend, and it goes from there. So the next book that I have is Damaged by Smaugy, and I've read 2 books by this author, and I really like her writing. She was the first author that I read a dark romance by, and she just has this like very Wattpad-ish writing structure, but it's fun, and I really love her characters, and her smut scenes are 10 out of 10. So I'm excited to see what this one's about. Okay, so this one's following the main character. I believe she's a black plastic surgeon. Her husband ends up passing away, and she ends up going back to her hometown to basically get her life together because things go awry, and she ends up running into these 3 brothers that she grew up with, and I don't know if she falls for all of them or if they all fall for her and she has to pick one, but we love a good love square. I don't even think it's a triangle anymore because it's like 4 people involved, but I think she ends up like going back to her hometown, seeing these brothers again. I don't know if they're related. I don't know if they all like her, but we gonna see how it goes, and I will keep y'all posted because I'm definitely reading that. Okay, so these aren't even all the books, but I separated them by categories. We're gonna kick it off with these because these are like miscellaneous books. I don't know what the hell to categorize these as, but I've already read both of these, so let's get into it. The first one that I have is I Want to Love My Own Life by Nadir, and this one I also saw on TikTok. It basically is like it's not a poetry book, it's not nonfiction, but I feel like it's like magical realism in a way, and it's deep diving into like mental health and having really dark days, and it has like each section has a different short story. I do not know how to explain this book because it's very dark and gruesome and hard to read, so I don't even know if I would even recommend anyone read this. I feel like you have to be in the right mental space, and I feel like it's like a dark Toni Morrison. Like, you know, you have to really deep dive into what the messages are, but it's like a very dark, bloody, gruesome Toni Morrison. That's the easiest way that I can explain that one. The next one that I have, the girls should know. The girls should know. I have Wash Day Diaries. This is a graphic novel that I pre-ordered so damn fast. I saw it on Twitter back when I had a Twitter channel. That's the only thing I miss about Twitter, is being able to see like new releases and new authors and stuff like that, but it is what it is. Wash Day Diaries basically follows this group of friends, and you're able to see their wash day, and they're all dealing with different things. Like, one of them is trying to reconnect with a family member, and she's going through family members accepting her sexuality. Then we have another one that has like her whole chronicles, and she, you know, she slept with one dude but she talking to another dude, you know, and she's getting her hair braided. Then we have another girl that's dealing with depression. Then we have another girl that is dealing with like a stalker ex. Are some a little bit of there is some like heavier topics in here, but it's not too heavy. The artwork in this is so phenomenal. It's so beautiful. I love this illustration style, and it was really cool because each character kind of had the same color throughout the entire book. Like, not even just like their clothes, but like when they would show up on the page, like the backlighting would be like blue, or hers would be yellow, and it just like that color carried through the whole story, and it just was so beautiful. I love this book so much. It was very cute. Highly recommend. The next little section we have is nonfiction. So the first one that we have is Thick, which I've already read. You can see the tabs in this, and I read this in a video, which I will link up here that you guys can check it out. It's following the same author, and it's just like a bind up of like racial injustices, politics. Also, she touches on like the music industry, like R. Kelly and stuff like that. She touches on Black women dealing with the hardships of finding like medical professionals that actually listen to them, and I just really enjoyed this book. I also found this on TikTok. If you like books that are nonfiction that touch on a spread of different things, I would recommend this one. Ooh, my desk is about to be a mess after this. The next one that I have is The Black Girl's Guide to Financial Freedom, because in this life, you know, you gotta save your coin. I be saving my coin. I be doing the right thing, paying all my bills on time, but I want to put my money in different places that benefit me more than just my bills. You know what I'm saying? It's nice to save my money, you know, save 10% of every check, but I want to put my money into other things that actually benefit me in the long run, especially once I start to have a family and, you know, get married, have a house and stuff like that. I want to set my kids up to have financial freedom, you know. So I just want to, I think 2023 is going to be my year of financial literacy. I really just want to read all of the books about finances. I've always been a budgeter. I've always been somebody heavy on finances, credit scores, all of that. So any knowledge that I can get to further that or learn more about that or do better with that, obviously I'm going to tap in. And this is pretty self-explanatory, so highly recommend this if you want to get your finances right. It don't matter how old you are, how young you are, nothing. You're never too young to save your money. All right, the next one that I have is Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race. They got this part blanked out. This is so funny to me. Which I already actually started this book, but I wanted to take my time with this. This is also another nonfiction book that dives into racism. Basically, it dives into racism. I really enjoyed the beginning of this book. It basically was like the perfect introduction to what this book is going to be about. A lot of these books are like something that someone wrote online and then turned it into an entire book. So that's also something very interesting to me, because it gets enough hype to the point that you can write a full novel about it. And she a little thick, about 230 pages, so I feel like this is gonna really deep dive into a lot of stuff. So I definitely want to take my time with this, but I have started it. I'm about 20 pages into it, so we'll see how it goes. My man got me this book. The next book that I have, I also found on TikTok. This is not a TikTok haul, child, I swear, but I also found this one on TikTok, and it is called The Sacred Woman. My mom actually has this book as well, and it says A Guide to Healing the Feminine Body, Mind, and Spirit. Next year is also gonna be my spiritual era, child. Like, I'm just trying to tap into getting to know me, getting to know my emotions, getting to know just my whole womanness. Like, I'm really just trying to deep dive into that and just become one with who I am. Like, once I turn 30, I don't know what it is about 30, but once I turned 30, I just felt so sure of myself, and I just felt stable and strong and like powerful, and I just want to dive a little bit more into that and just, you know, learn some things, learn about the herbs and all that, learn about the, you know, the history. This is not a book I'm gonna be able to sit down and just read. It's like a history book basically, so it's something I would pick up from time to time, read for like an hour or so, learn something from it, highlight and stuff, and move along. All right, so the next little section that I have, I guess, would be mystery books. I don't really have that many mystery books. The first one that I have is 2 Part Sugar, 1 Part Murder, which I actually did start reading in a vlog. I'm like 50 pages into this, but I never finished it. I just put it down and didn't pick it back up. I don't know when I'm gonna read it. I read it in this vlog, which I will link up here if you want to check it out. And it basically follows this girl who got stood up at the altar, child, and her aunt also passed away. So she goes back to her hometown to help her aunt with her bakery because it was like a thriving business. So she's basically going there, but she don't know how to cook, she don't know how to run a business, she don't know how to do none of that, but she's gonna do her best. It's a small town, and I think the mayor ends up getting killed, and the murder weapon has her fingerprints on it, so they looking at her a little sideways like, what's up, what's going on? So that's what this one follows. So the next one that I have is Like a Sister by Kelly Garrett. By Kelly Garrett. And this one follows the main character whose sister ends up being found dead. I believe she's like in the public eye. I don't know if she's like an influencer or a celebrity, but basically wave it off to say like her sister had an overdose, and they're just, you know, chalking it up to that. But she is not going for that. She does not believe that's how her sister died, and she's going to find out what exactly happened. And that's what this one follows. I love books that have sisters in them, so I'm really excited to see, you know, if I enjoy that. Okay. The next little section that I have is going to be like historical romance, you know, historical romance. Yeah, let's get into that. So the first three that I have, I actually read in another vlog, which I will link up here. You guys can check out if you like. And it is Miss Beverly J. Okay, Beverly Jenkins is a well-known, you know, romance author, and I've read 2 of these books already. The first one is part of her Women Who Dare series, which is basically following like independent women who don't take nobody's shit, who, you know, run their own businesses, have their own careers, do their own thing back in the day. You know, that's not very common back in the day. That's not something they're used to. But this one follows the main character who is a teacher. She's staying in New Orleans in order to like further her career, and she's waiting for her husband or her betrothed to show up there so they can start their life. He's currently like in France or something like that, in order to run his up and coming newspaper business. So they're kind of split up for now, but she ends up meeting this guy who rescues her from a very terrifying situation. Ends up getting kicked out of the place that she was staying at, so she ends up staying with his family, and they get a little close. But obviously because she's sworn to someone else, there lies the issue. So it goes from there. It's cute. I liked it. The next one that, oh, I really like this one. The next one that I have is Destiny's Embrace, and this one follows the main character who is known for being very meek, very quiet, very to herself, and very ran over by her mother. And she comes to the point where she's like, I'm not going for this no more. I want to restart my life. I want to do my own thing. So she packed all her shit, and she ends up going to California to be a maid at this, basically this ranch, well, this huge farmland that's run by this woman and her sons. Currently only one of the sons is still staying there, so she's supposed to take care of his house, and they end up falling in love. But she is just completely turned a new leaf. She's a huge spitfire. She don't take nobody's shit. Like, she's not willing to be that quiet girl anymore because she got ran over for so long. So they butt heads a lot, and their banter, their fights, their everything was just like my favorite part of this book. It's just they couldn't stand each other. They was fighting every damn page, but it was just so much fun. I loved it. Really enjoyed their chemistry, and it was just a good time. Okay, I didn't know what this book was about, but everybody was saying this is different from anything Beverly Jenkins has written before, and I guess I have this in the wrong section, but it's okay. It's still a romance book. It follows the main character who is like a sports agent. He ends up falling for this guy who is a truck driver, but he's also an ex-cop, and he's like undercover trying to figure out who killed like this very famous football player. So they end up, you know, meeting each other because I guess her car broke down, so he's there to help her, and it goes from there. Like, we love a good powerful woman. Okay, powerful woman. He's like and I guess he's like secretly rich as well. It just gives me like 90s romance vibes. Like, okay. All right, we're gonna see. The next one that I have is Aphrodite and the Duke, which I don't know what this book is about. So Aphrodite and the Duke basically follows this girl who has ran away from her hometown. She ran away from London. She like restarted her life, did her own thing, but her mother ends up asking her to come back in order to help her sister's debut. And I guess while she was living there, she had like a little romance with one of the dukes, and they ended up breaking up. I don't know if he broke her heart, I don't know what happened, but this is said to be a second chance romance. I like second chance romance, so we'll see how it goes. I'm really excited to read it. This cover is absolutely gorgeous. I haven't heard anyone talk about this, but I love seeing black women in huge fluffy dresses and like castle settings and like very royal, cleaned up looks. I love it. I love it so much. I'm really excited to read this. Top of the list. Top of the list. Alright, so the next section that I have is going to be romance and maybe a little erotica up in here too, I think. So the first one that I have is Erotica by Gray Huffington, and I actually started this during a 24-hour readathon, which I will link up here if y'all want to check that out, and I'll link it in the description box as well, because I think I can only link so many cards. 100 pages into this one, and it basically follows the main character. His name is Luca, and he just got out of prison. He's basically trying to find his footing, coming back into town, and he ends up, I think he falls for his sister's best friend, and she's also a single mother. She has 2 daughters, and she's basically trying to restart her life. She was in a very abusive relationship, so she's with her best friend right now trying to restart her life, and I think they end up falling for each other, and their chemistry already was like off the charts. So I'm excited to see more about that, and he just fine. Like, I'm so sorry. This cover, this man is so fine. Like, black men, yeah. So the next book that I have is Along for the Ride by Mimi Grace, and this cover is so cute, and this looks like an interracial romance that is not black and white. Like, the girls need to give it up. Like, we get it, the black man, white woman, black woman, white man, but there's other interracial romances, and I really hope these romance authors start tapping in. But Mimi Grace is that girl. She writes romance books that I have absolutely loved. I've read all of her books and I've loved all of them. They're just cute, they're fun, and this one follows these 2 enemies that are stuck in a car together. Like, basically he's helping her sister move, and she didn't realize that she was gonna have to drive along with somebody that she don't like, who have like a mutual friend, and they had gotten to like this huge argument during a wedding. So they don't like each other, okay? They don't want to be stuck in a car with each other for 16 hours, but that's exactly what happens, because they're both going to help their friend. So, and she's going to help her sister. They stuck in the car together, and I guess a romance ensues, you know? A romance ensues. This cover is cute. The cover is cute as hell. I'm excited. I love her books. They're always so cute and so fun. So stacks of stacking over here. Okay, the next book that I have is Crave by Shay Sanders, which I've already read. I read it in a 24-hour readathon, and it basically follows this main character. She's like an academic professor, and she also writes things online. So she goes to this Airbnb, and she ends up having to room and board with this group she grew up really loving, and I guess it turns into like a whole poly thing. It turns into a whole poly thing. I think it's like 4 of them. I don't know why, but it just gave me New Edition vibes. Everybody was saying like B2K because I guess that's like my era, but like I just think of New Edition immediately. So she's gonna be staying there, and things get very hot and heavy. This is very, very steamy. One of the guys, I could not stand his ass at all. I ain't gonna lie. I didn't like him. I did not like him from the second that he got on the damn page. Didn't like him all the way to the end. But I liked the main character, and it was a whole bunch of plot twists that had me literally shocked. The next one that I have is Make a Scene by Mimi Grace. Yet again, I've already read this. One of my subscribers sent me this. Thank you so much. I think it was Tatiana. Yeah, so Tatiana sent me this, which she's one of my subscribers. So if you want to send your girl some books, you know what I'm saying, you want to make these book hauls longer, then feel free to buy me some books on my wish list. The character, she's a baker, and she ends up getting into it with this new guy because he just opened a boxing ring over in the corner over there. He opened a boxing ring in the same plaza as her, and he takes her parking spot, and they get into it because she's like, hey, this is my parking spot. You know how it gets in those plazas, like limited parking, we don't have time for her. So they get into it, and they've actually already ran into each other before, and it turns into like this fake dating thing because she has to go to this wedding that she don't want to go to. It's a whole mess with her family. They could have kissed my ass, but I think her cousin is marrying her ex, which is wild to me. But her cousin's marrying her ex, so she want to show up with a man and be like, I ain't worried about y'all. So fake dating ensues. Very, very, very cute moments. I absolutely fell in love with both of them. They just were cute. They were cute. I loved it. Loved the cover, and highly recommend. I've heard so much about this little series, so I'm excited to get into it. But the next one that I have is The Boyfriend Project by Farah Roshan. This one is following this group of best friends, and one of the girls ends up getting cheated on, and he's not only cheating, he's cheating with like 3 other women. So her and her best friends decide to swear off women to swear off of men, swear off of sex, and just really for the next 6 months get their life together and focus on myself so that the next man that comes along is worth my time. And she ends up meeting someone that is actually worth her time before that 6 months is up, and I guess a romance ensues from there. So I'm excited to read it. I've heard really good things about this series, so I'm excited to start it. I think it's a 3-book series, and it follows each of the best friends. The child, what is this? I need to read this. Hold on. Oh, okay, this was sent to me by an author. I forgot. I'm like, what is this? Okay, so this one is called Cold Retribution, and this was sent to me by an author. She asked me if she could send this over to me. I'm like, girl, go ahead and send me a book. But this is basically these twin brothers who are in love with the same girl. So basically one of the brothers dated her in the past, and his twin brother is coming home and telling his family that he's getting married, and when he shows up, it's his twin brother's ex, and he still like her. So it's like, what's good? I guess she's gonna have to pick between the brothers. You know, it's gonna be a love triangle, but it's gonna be messy, it's gonna be drama. I'm excited to see who she picks. I like romance. I ain't gonna lie, I do like romance books that have brothers, because you get your pick of the meal. Like, you get to pick. It's messy. It could never be me, because whoever you pick, you still gotta deal with the family, you gotta still deal with the drama. But it makes up for some good drama. So I'm excited to see who she picks, who she ends up with, and just, you know, some sibling rivalry, a little entanglement going on, you know what I'm saying? So the stacks are stacking over here, child. The next book that, oh man, I'm currently reading this, but the next book that I have is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. I'm currently reading this. So this one basically follows a second chance romance between this divorced couple, and it deals a lot with grief and depression and like raising a family, and they're both business partners as well, so they can't really shake each other, because it's like they have to co-parent and they also have to run a business together as well. So that's what this one follows. I'm loving it so far. I'm like 200 pages in. I only got this much left, but Kennedy Ryan is really that girl. This girl can write. She can take the emotions off the page. You can feel every second of it. It's just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And the last romance book that I have in this little section is going to be By the Book by Jasmine Guillory, and I've also read I've read this already in a vlog. I read like the Disney princesses. The first one that I did is Belle. Belle's the main character who is working in publishing, and it was like her dream job, but now she's been there for 2 years and she kind of feels stagnant. She's bored, she doesn't feel challenged enough, and she doesn't feel like she's respected in the industry. And she gets the opportunity to push one of these authors that they're waiting to get his drafts from. He's like a very well-known celebrity, and he's supposed to write his memoir, but he has not sent over anything. So she's sent to his house in order to push him into writing the damn book, and she ends up getting stuck there. They end up falling for each other. It's just very cute. I loved it. I tabbed this so much. I absolutely love this. This is a closed door romance, so if that's not your thing, I'm just telling you ahead of time. Ain't no steam in this book, but they have great chemistry. It's really cute. Highly recommend. The next little section that I have is going to be horror and paranormal books. So the first one that I have is Deathly Touch by C.C. Solomon, which I also have already read. Really enjoyed it. It basically follows the main character who is living in a world after like an apocalypse, but it was like a magical apocalypse. So everyone ends up with like superpowers, or like has a paranormal thing going on. Like, it was like a paranormal apocalypse. So we got zombies, we got vampires, we got ghouls, we got goblins, we got healers, we got everybody. But her sister is able to heal through touch, and she unfortunately kills by touch. So she kind of stays to herself. She stays away from everybody because she don't want to kill nobody, child. She like, hey, let me stay in the house. Okay, she ends up meeting this vampire, but he's not just a normal vampire, he's an undead vampire. and a romance ensues. A romance ensues. I absolutely loved it. I loved their little, it was very Twilight-esque. It wasn't nothing too deep, but it was cute. It was very cute. Very cute. The plot that's going on mainly in this book is they're basically using the blood from these paranormal people to inject people that never got any magical abilities in order to give them like human super strength, human superpowers. That's basically the plot. They're trying to figure out who's doing that because they're also killing these people as well. The next one that I have, I've also read but it is House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson, and this one is following this girl that is living in poverty and she's tired of her gloomy days. She's trying to get some money. Like, she like scrubbing these floors and cutting it. Okay, it's time for me to get some dough. Enough is enough. So she ends up seeing this ad in the newspaper where they're offering all expenses paid, you get to live here, we give you everything you want for, if you be a blood maid for the next like 5 years or whatever. So she ends up going out there in order to basically donate her blood to the house, the head of the house, the house maiden, whatever the hell her name is, the head of the house, because she's sick and she needs blood maiden's blood in order to survive. It's like kind of vampire-esque, but not really. But there's a lot of dark and twisted things going on behind the scene, and she don't think that she gonna be able to run free with the money once her contract is up. She ain't buying it. So she's trying to figure out what the sinister things are going on in the background. So really love this. This was my 100th book that I read this year, and Alexis Henderson could do no wrong in my book. I absolutely loved it. It is very slow. I didn't really start picking up until almost the 100-page mark. I say around page 85, but I still highly recommend it. So definitely check her out. Okay, the last book that I have in the little horror paranormal section is Nana by Brandon Macy, and I also read this, absolutely loved it. It basically is following the main character who grew up adopted because she never really got to know who her mother was, and then one day her adoptive mother ends up being killed, and then this lady shows up at the funeral and says, "Hey, I'm your mama, like, what's good, let's build a relationship." So her dumbass ends up bringing this lady back to her house, and slowly but surely the lady starts looking younger and she starts looking and feeling way older than she actually is. And the husband is not going for it. He knows something is up, he knows something is going on, so he's keeping an eye on Nana because he ain't buying the Nana act. He knows something is up. This book was twisted, but it was dark, it was fun, it was funny, it was interesting. I enjoyed it. I'm excited to see what else this author has on their backlist because I really like this book and highly recommend it. Check them trigger warnings though. Check them trigger warnings ahead of time because yeah. I guess this section will be like fantasy and like fantasy romance-esque. Like some of these I didn't know what to put category this in. The first two that I have obviously Kimberly Lemming. Kimberly Lemming is my brand at this point. I have claimed her as my brand. I recommend these books to everybody. It's a very cute fantasy romance. It's a good time. This is a good time. So we have That Time I Got Drunk and Saved the Demon, and we also have Mistletoe, which is like the novella for this series. Is basically the Mead Mishap series. I have the other, I don't know where the other books are, child, but this is all in the same series. And I read this on Kindle, and I immediately had to buy the physical copy, which I actually really like because it doesn't have like a paper. It doesn't have like, what is it called? Dust jacket. It doesn't have a dust jacket on it. It just has the printed page on here, and I just like the feel of it. I wish more people would do this. Like it gives like children book, but this ain't no damn children book. So basically this follows a world where they are separated from the demons. Like they have the demons on one side of the world, and then they have the regular human people on the other side of the world, and they're run by this queen. Her name is like Queen Maeve or something like that, and come to find out she's been lying to everybody. She has these demons under a spell, and when the spell is broken, they end up crossing that line. They start coming over to the human side and telling them, like, you know, we were under a spell, like we're really not as violent as we were painted out to be. Let's take down the queen. So in these books, they're taking down the queen, and there's also like a little romance going on. The first one has a romance between a dragon shapeshifter and I guess she's like a spice farmer. So she's like a spice farmer, really cute. Second one is between a werewolf shapeshifter And the other main character, that one was my favorite. That was my favorite book because it just has heavy golden retriever love interest vibes. So I absolutely loved it. But this whole series is cute. This one follows a fox shapeshifter, so you know it's very cute. It have a little plot, we got a little romance, we got a little this, little that. Very smutty. The sex scenes are phenomenal. Absolutely love them. Highly recommend. Highly recommend. Highly recommend. If you want something cute, you want something, well, quirky MC, you know, I will recommend these books. Okay. Oh, all these are together. So the next little section that I have is the Moon Children series by Desiree, and this I also read on Kindle in a vlog, and those characters brought out so much emotions for me. I was ready to fight. But all three of these books are in the same series. I have the other two. I don't know where they are, but anyway, drama filled. It's like a black soap opera. Rich people, country people. We got touches of magic and root magic in here. A ton of romance, relationship drama. It just gives black soap opera. It just gives black soap opera and messy ass characters. I mean, I don't know if I would, this is one of those series where it's like, these are my babies, but I don't know if I would recommend them, because I don't know if I would recommend them. It's not for everybody, but you know, if you like drama, if you like relationships in your books, if you like root magic in your books, it's not too much smut, but it's just so much drama in these damn books. It's like generational drama. Living, laughing, and loving. Absolutely, these are my babies. So I only have 2 books left in the series and I'll be done, but yeah. Alright, the last the last 3 stacks. Okay, let's start with the small stack. So the first one, actually, these 2 are together. These 2 are the Rage of Dragon series by Evan Winter. Lighting is doing something weird. I don't know what to tell you. We here for the books. It don't matter. Anyway, Evan Winter's, I read the first book. I'm trying to hold off on the second one because I'm waiting for publishing date for the 3rd book before I deep dive into the 2nd book. But it follows, how do I even explain this book? It basically follows this world that is like heavily political and like in the midst of a war. There's alternative universes. There's people that have magical abilities in a sense. And it's basically following the main character. His name is Tao, and something very life-changing happened to him, and he's out for revenge. Like, he's really out for blood. He's not playing with these people. He's like, I don't give a damn what it takes. He puts himself in danger, himself in a lot of danger. He does some very questionable things, all for the sake of revenge. Like, what's does it say? I don't care about consequences. I want my lick back. He is the epitome of that. Like, he's not playing. He want his lick back. He's not waiting around for it to happen, for karma, none of that. He's doing everything he can to be one of the strongest soldiers in order to get revenge. And there is very bloody, very gory, very political. I don't know how else to describe this book. If you want to read the synopsis, you can, but that's all I can say about this. Very character heavy. If you don't like this character, you're not gonna like the book, because he's hard-headed, he don't listen, and the story is following him. So yeah, but I highly recommend it. Absolutely loved it. Can't wait to hear something about the 3rd book, child. This is an old one. I feel like people were talking about this book for a while. I've definitely seen BookTube talk about this book. This one is The Gilded Ones by Namina Forna. So this one follows the main character who lives in a world where there is a blood ceremony, and you find out basically what your magical abilities are. But she's someone who can, I guess, see the future, has really strong intuition, so she already feels like an outsider. She goes to the ceremony, and if her blood runs red, then she gets to stay in her village, but if her blood runs anything else, then she gets killed. So she ends up having the ceremony. Her blood ends up running gold, which means that she has some type of impurity. This lady shows up and tells her, listen, you're actually immortal. You need to roll with the war girls so that we can take down the empire, because they all lying to us. So I just love just an up shovel of the hierarchy. Like, throw their ass out the castle. But I'm excited to see how this one goes. I feel like I'm really gonna enjoy this one, so we shall see. Love the cover. This is another one that I'm gonna claim as my brand. I'm gonna go ahead and claim it. I'm recommending this to everyone. It is Bones to the Wind by Tatiana Obey, and this one, I've already read. You can see the tabs, you can hear the tabs, you can see the tabs. It basically follows this world that is like heavily political, and this girl is in like a school, I guess I'll call it a school, like a school setting, where to graduate they have to do the ceremony where they travel on this wind ship in the desert and have to bring back some type of creature that they slayed, and she's determined to bring back a dragon, but nobody wants to do that shit. Everybody's just like, hey, give me the lizard, give me the gourd, I'm not trying to die. So she doesn't have anyone that's willing to join her team, because you also have to, you know, come up with your little team out there. She ends up pairing up with like the underdog of their class, and a romance ensues. She also has a rivalry with his sister, so his sister is basically tracking them down because she's not going for it. I keep saying this, she's like a black teenage Jack Sparrow. She is very off her rocker. She does whatever the hell she wants. She's very determined. She's out of her damn mind, but she's chaotic and she's fun, and I love her as a main character. So highly recommend it. I'm actually going to be reading this over on Erin's channel, Booked It Busy, in May, which is my birthday month, so it couldn't be better. It couldn't be a better time to read that. We're going to be reading book 1 and 2. So I'm waiting to read the second one. I'm excited to reread it next year though. So please join us if you would like. Oh my god, this is gonna be so good. I don't even know how to explain this one, but this is called Rise of the Demon Inferno. We found this family that moved from Philadelphia to a small town in South Carolina, and they mad about it. They're not feeling it. They don't want to start at a new high school. Come to find out, that's the least of their worries, because there is a war going on between two sisters. Either they're angels or gods, but it's a war going on between two sisters. They're trying to kill everybody, child. Like, all of humanity is in danger because these two sisters at war with each other. So two sisters rivaling against each other. One of them is half angel, half demon. The other one is just full-on demon, and she's trying to kill everybody. So I'm trying to see what that's about. Like, I'm trying to see. The font is microscopic. The font is giving Bible, but I'm still excited to read it because I haven't heard anyone talk about it, and I'm pretty sure it's an indie author, so the white pages give it away. The next one that I have is Pet by Akwaeke Emezi, and I've read the prequel to this one, which came out after this, but because I hadn't read Pet yet, I got to read that one first. And I think, I don't know how to explain this one. Everyone knows what this damn book is about. So basically it follows this world where this girl ends up meeting this monster who is supposedly not even supposed to be there, because back in the day there were monsters that ran the city and that were killing people, and they ended up getting sent away, but she can still see one of them, and she names it Pet from one of her mother's paintings. Her mother's paintings come to life, and her mother is actually in the first book, which I really enjoyed. So I'm excited to read this and see what everybody's up to. You know, I really love books that have art included in the story, so really excited to read this. Ooh, we're getting towards the end. We got like 6 books left, I think. Okay, so the next one that I have is This Wicked Fate, which is the second book in This Poison Heart, which basically follows the main character who has inherited this house from her birth mother and her aunts. So she doesn't really know much about like who her mother was, because she was adopted by her 2 moms. She's always had this magical ability to control plants around her, and once she gets into the house, she kind of deep dives into the history to get to know like who she is and more about her mother, more about her family. First book was phenomenal. Absolutely loved it. It's basically a continuation of that book, so highly recommend. Absolutely gorgeous cover. Yeah. Okay, the next one that I have is something that everybody knows what this book is about. Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston. So this one, everybody has already read this book but me, and I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed by that. But it basically is following this girl who ends up joining like this magical school. So her brother is missing. She ends up finding out about this magical school, and she's trying to figure out what's going on, where her brother is, and she's also going to be in a competition in the magical school. But the only issue is she didn't know she had magical abilities until 2 seconds ago. Okay, so everybody else she's competing with has been doing this their whole life. I've heard nothing but praise about this book, and I'm so excited to read it. I'm nervous because with hyped books I'd be like, oh Lord, she's gonna be that girl. So I'm excited to read it, and I'm excited to dive into this world, because I think the second book just came out, so I'll be able to read both of the books back to back. So The next book that I have is The Final Strife, which was sent to me by one of my lovely subscribers. I'm very grateful, thank you. So this one, I don't know how to explain this, child. I already read it, but it basically follows this world where you're separated by castes and you're determined what your caste is based off of your blood. There you have clear blood, blue blood, and is it red blood? I think red blood as well. So you're separated like that. The cast of clear blood, I believe they're called the ghostings. They're basically mutated from like 2 years of age or from birth. Their tongues are cut out and their arms are cut off, and they're basically living through life with this disability. My battery is dying. I charged before I started this video, but main character, she's struggling with addiction, and she ends up going to the castle to help the princess in that castle compete in this competition. There's also like a group of rebels that are trying to take down the hierarchy. It's just a whole bunch of stuff going on. It's a really good book. Highly recommend it. The next few books, okay, I'm gonna try to do this before my battery dies, but the first one that I have is the Inheritance trilogy by N.K. Jemisin, and she thick. 1,000+ pages. Okay, it's a bind up of 3 books. I don't know what this book is about. Pressure is getting worse, and it basically follows the main character who is sent to this sky world, and she's basically living among the gods, child. And then she finds out that she's betrothed to one of the gods, and the story goes from there. That's all I know. That's all I need to know. I don't want to know nothing else, because N.K. Jemisin books are hard to explain and they're more fun the least you know going into it. But I've heard good things about this one. I want to get the bind up because I just want to say I read a 1,000-page book. You know, sue me, all right? Sue me. I love books that have gods in them, and N.K. Jemisin really just knows how to give you complex worlds, give you complex gods, and I'm excited to see if I end up loving this. The next one that I have is We Are the Origin by C.M. Lockhart, and this also was sent to me by one of my subscribers. Okay, Island, stand up. Y'all always got your girl. But basically this follows the main character who is following all the rules that's given to her until a goddess ends up telling her to do the opposite of those rules, and she goes against the queendom that she's been with basically her entire life, and now they're out to get her. And as time goes on, she finds out there's actually more to be revealed as far as who to trust, who not to trust, and I'm excited to read it. The cover is gorgeous. Really excited about that one. My camera is angrily flashing at me. The next one that I have is the second book to the Dreamblood series. It's a duology, and this one is also by N.K. Jemisin. It basically follows a world where it has like magical abilities as far as dream magic, and there is corruption within that, and heavily political, very bloody, very gory, like insane characters. I don't know how else to explain it. It's basically like religion gone wrong. Okay, so I will be reading the second one. I am fighting for my life with this camera because it's dying, but this is the last book that I have in this haul. So let me look around, make sure it's the last one. Basically it follows the main character. Her name is Onia, and she's abandoned by her mother, and then she ends up getting rescued by this guardian who basically tells her that she has heritage to the gods. Like, we love a good lost child god trope, you know what I'm saying? And I think she ends up falling for the guardian that ends up rescuing her. So it's giving Percy Jackson, but like new adult and with 2 black leads. A fantasy book with 2 black leads. I'm just ready. I'm so ready. I pre-ordered this one on Kindle, but I ended up buying the physical copy because I just know I'm gonna love this one, and it's the perfect way to wrap up this haul. So that is all of the books. I believe it's like 50 books or over 50 books, but I hope you guys enjoyed this big book haul. So that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you've read any of these books or if you're going to be picking up any of these books. Always remember, read a book, keep your life interesting, and I will see you in 2023. Bye.